Greetings, you've landed at the VUC, IP Communications and VoIP community. We would like to thank Simwood.com for their support. Simwood can turn you as a developer into a telco. Our hosted PBX is from OnSIP.com, and you can go to GetOnSIP.com for a URL people can click to call you. We've been privileged over the last 5 years to be using the best conference bridge on the planet. Yes, I'm talking about ZipDX.com, full color, full featured, full HD conference bridge. Our website, VUC.me on the webs, hosted by Bluehost.com. And our worldwide local rate dial-ins are from Voxbone.com. And that was the canned announcement. Now here's the live announcement. This is VUC 561 for October 2nd, 2015. And we have a really interesting session today with Phil from Grandstream. And Michael has gone all out. It's absolutely amazing what he's done. You've got to stay tuned for that. But before that, we're going to do a quick announcement for, first of all, for Astracon, because our friends James Bodie, Andy Smith, and a bunch of other people are on their way to Astracon right now. And Astracon is happening in Orlando, Florida, the 13th to the 15th of October. So you're going to ask me, why are they leaving the October 2nd? Well, because they're going to the other thing, which a bunch of people are going to, and then there's a TAD Hack. Do we have a slide for TAD Hack in Chicago? I'm sure we do.
No, I'm sorry we don't.
Ah, gee. Well, anyway, go to tadhack.me, I believe, and you'll see that, or tadhack.com will do. And one final quick announcement, and I should have prepared a little slide for this, but I've been speaking to Dave Tott, and Dave wanted me to give you a personal invitation to check out the proposal that they are sending to the FCC. Phil, you may be interested in this too. Go to vuc.me/FCC. It doesn't matter whether it's caps or not. And you'll see the petition that they're sending to the FCC, and there is a link to the actual document. You can participate in this. This is, for all of the more geeky people who listen to this podcast, you should check this out. So, VUC, I switch into French automatically from time to time. I said donc, which means therefore. Go to vuc.me/FCC. Check that out. Dave is one of those people who does a lot of stuff for the community and for VoIP and for the technology. And you'll see that Vince Cerf is in on that, and there's a whole bunch of people whose names you'll know. Go look at the petition, vuc.me/FCC. I'm going to turn this over to Michael. Michael's going to introduce Phil, and we're going to have a really good time looking at this amazing device that Phil has brought into the universe.
Someone once said that software is eating the world. And while that might be true, it happens that I like hardware. I'm just an old-school hardware junkie, and so when new endpoint devices come out, something especially that might be relevant to somebody who works from a home office as I do, I just love getting my hands on them and giving a go. And as they get more and more approachable from a cost perspective, performance perspective, they're ever more interesting. And so when Grandstream made waves in the spring with a beta program for this GVC3200, it was like, okay, I got to get in on that. That's worth spending some time to try and understand what they're doing. And I will let Phil tell us all about that rather than preempting some of his news. But this is Phil's, I think, second or third appearance. He was here in February or March talking to us about some security cameras.
Yeah.
Hi, Phil. How are you doing?
Hi, Mike. How are you? Glad to be here. Always enjoy doing this, so glad we could make this work.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, before we dive in, I want to explain to people what they're going to see, because it could be confusing. It's been confusing getting it set up. There are a variety of cameras and feeds floating around my location. And so here's what I'm going to start you out with. If you see what's going on there in my stream now, it's a four-way split. There's me, desktop camera. Hi, how are you? Then there's the GVC, which is right over here. This is me on the GVC. It's sitting on top of a 32-inch It's the output of the GVC. It's sitting on top of a 32-inch Samsung monitor. And then there's a camera pointed at the monitor so that you can see me doing this, right?
Awesome.
Are we confused? Are we confused yet? So that's the GVC sitting on the monitor. The output of the GVC directly, and you can see its menus. So if we want to say, what's the home screen look like? It looks like that. Oh, you want to go into settings? It looks like that, right?
That's awesome.
And Randy and I had a call going, and then if we want to actually start playing with this and keep talking, we can overlay one of us to actually sort of point out what we're doing. And then because we like our guests, we wanted to do something like that too.
That's awesome. You guys are the best, really.
Oh goodness, this has been fun. But we are pushing the limits of what can be done with one computer. Anyhow, what is this thing? Tell us about it. And first of all, explain to us how you're moving into video, because Grandstream phones, right?
Sure.
I know Grandstream for phones, and in fact, there's one sitting over my shoulder. You can't quite see it, but we'll come to that later.
How many of us had Grandstream as our very first hardware phone? I did.
Not my very first, but the second. It was a BT101, and it was nasty.
There you go. Yep. Good old Budget Tone series. We still have them floating around our office, believe it or not.
Okay. So explain to me this move into video. What do you do and why are you doing it, and then how are you setting about doing it?
Sure. So our sweet spot for all of our products has traditionally been that small to medium-sized business marketplace, and we kind of over the last couple of years have taken a look at what is available to those markets in terms of video conferencing, cloud video, whatnot, and there wasn't too much that was being offered or that would be a good fit for them, both in terms of price, in terms of, as I go through, I think you'll see a lot of the, what I'll call traditional barriers to video conferencing that we've solved with this GVC3200. So it's definitely, you're gonna see a lot more on the video conferencing side from us over the next couple of years. It's definitely a major new market that we're getting in. We're really excited about it. And the GVC3200 is pretty much just our first offering, but I mean, at least in my opinion, pretty good thing to start off with because of everything that it can do.
Okay, cool. And by the way, we do have your slides prepped. If you want to show them, just tell me and we'll punch them up, and that way people can look at you or look at the slide and do as they choose. So sure.
Let's throw up the slides just for a little bit. As I run through at least some of the initial stuff. I think there was only a couple of slides in there. You can head on over to the second slide. Actually, here we go. A little shameless marketing promotion on my end. We completely rebranded the company, new logo, new tagline, new website. Definitely head on over, check out our new website, it's same URL, but it's a brand new redesigned website. We're really excited about it. Something we announced at our first ever partner conference just about a month ago. So just wanted to mention that up front, so in case people think like, hey, everything looks different, yes, it does look different, at least in terms of the marketing stuff. So you can move through to actually this one more slide.
There we go.
Yeah, actually you can go to the next one from here. I think the next one's got some information on it. So kind of the way that, we talk about this GVC3200 is, easy video conferencing. Easy in terms of three main things. Again, solving a lot of the traditional barriers to video conferencing over the years. One, I'm not going to go in order of the bullets on here, but the best thing about our GVC3200 is the flexibility that it offers. It's not, we offer our own IP video talk cloud system, which currently comes free with the device for a limited time. But it's a SIP-based device. It can run any third-party SIP video conferencing platform. To kind of prove that, we've actually partnered up with Blue Jeans. We're listed, Blue Jeans will list us as a technology partner on their website. We've tested all of the major, your Cisco, your Polycom systems running on our device. So, it's a great option to expand a current third-party video conferencing system that you may have, or to use, our own cloud-based system, which comes right out of the box. It's preset, your account's preset. There's nothing you would have to do in that case. No configuration, nothing needed to get ready with video conferencing. The other part of the interoperability, and this is kind of where I think it gets really cool, is it's that we're aware of, it's the only video conferencing device in the world right now that is based on Android. We offer, just like our IP video phones for Android, it runs a full open version of Android. We give you full access to the Google Play Store, and what that allows you to do is to basically have a room-based video conferencing system that can access any SIP platform, that can also make video conferences with any Android application. Skype and Google Hangouts are obviously the ones that come to mind, but the other thing is, if you go look at what's in the Android or the Google Play Store, a lot of the third-party major cloud providers have Android apps that you would be able to, and we've tested this here, be able to run a lot of these very popular third-party systems, video life size, for example, through their Android app. So basically what we've done here is we've created one very affordable, when you look at what the rest of video conferencing endpoints cost, that can basically you can use it however you want. It can be used with almost pretty any Android platform, any SIP-based platform. We give you our own platform to run it off of also, to make it easy to get started. So the flexibility, the various ways that you can use it, is truly the best aspect of this. Kind of another cool aspect of the fact that we support both SIP and Android is that we give you the ability to bridge Android calls into a SIP video conference. And I'll be completely honest, as of right now, we only support bridging the audio from an Android app. So the example here is, you have a sales meeting or a staff meeting going on and somebody can't make it. You can call them through Skype, or they can call you through Skype, and you can bridge them into the video conference. So that, the flexibility, the lots of different ways that you can use this device is truly the best thing about it. You get into other things like the installation, where a lot of the traditional systems that most people use, they're so complicated to set up, they're so complicated to manage. It requires microphones all around the room, an MCU, which is where the video processing done, completely separate, and that's actually something I missed. One of the other great things about our GVC3200 is the fact that it's an all-in-one device. It does all of the video mixing right there in the video camera device. There's nothing else you have to hook it up to. So literally what that allows you to do is just plug it into a network, plug it into TVs, and you're pretty much ready to go with video conferencing right there. It retails here in the United States, retail price, again, I believe it's around $4,200, which for people that might be new to video conferencing, that might sound kind of high, but I challenge you to go look at and see what else is out there, see what Cisco and Polycom are selling their room-based video conferencing systems for, and $4,000 will look very good to you. Just to kind of talk about some of the things up on the slide, more on the feature side, which lots of awesome features that we've built into this. It does up to 9-way video conferencing. You can have up to a 4-way 1080p full 1080p video conference. Obviously, any more than that, it shrinks the size of the video on the screen because you have a lot of video feeds. So that's why the support for 4-way 1080p or all the way up to 9-way video. The camera is a PTZ camera. It's 180 degrees that it can be moved around with that PTZ control. It's a full 1080p camera. The camera has a 12 times optical zoom. Gigabit ports, obviously, also supports dual band Wi-Fi for local in-network video conferences. Supports Bluetooth, which allows you to use any Bluetooth speaker or microphone or keyboard with this guy. We do ship it with a speaker and microphone, which you can connect through Bluetooth or through USB. Comes with a Bluetooth remote control, which we actually also have an Android app which you can download and run. Use any Android device as the remote control for this guy. Obviously, it's all based on SIP video, so H.264 is the video codec. I think we also support H.263. And one thing to also mention, kind of the first time that we're talking about this, we are working on support for H.323, which should be available in the next couple of months. A lot of customers waiting on that, so that'll be cool too. Yeah, I guess I've been talking about this for a while now, so I'll
Let's
let Michael come back. Sorry about that.
yeah, and it okay. You're in charge of marketing communications, so okay, be that way. I don't mind. Uh, it's a pretty cool device. I can say from the experience in the beta, it's got more I/O than I anticipated. In fact, if we take a quick look at it, sitting on top of this TV, that's a proper PTZ camera. That's a room-style camera. That's a camera it's actually performance I associate with a much higher price point. You can pay 4K for just the camera with none of the other functionality. But then the two onboard microphones, so if you're just plugging it into a TV as I am right now, I'm not using the external camera, so it actually audio goes through the TV in that case via HDMI, and then uses those microphones. And the little display on the front is kind of cool, just tells you the IP address generally. I mean, it works pretty well. I've tried a variety of things on it. I wish I could show the back, but it's not convenient to do that while it's hooked up. It does have the what is there? 3 HDMI outs and an HDMI in, and the HDMI in is for what? Document sharing, right?
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
sharing anything on a computer screen, marking up a document, showing a presentation, even, a video or whatnot. Anything, yeah, pretty much anything from a HDMI or a VGA compatible computer.
Yeah, and I've actually had it hooked up to, and we could do this in a little bit, plug it into my laptop, and see some stuff going on. When we get a little further down the road, we'll do some experimentation. There is a question about, does it support IPv6? Oh, well, that's a good question. It's more of an engineering question, but I'll throw it at you anyway.
Yeah. I'll be completely honest. I believe that it does, but you're right. It's probably more of an engineering question, and I should double check on that. But I do believe that it supports IP version 6. Yes.
Okay. What rev of Android is it?
Off the top of my head, I think it's 4.2.
Okay.
4.2, 4.4, one of those two. It was actually on one of the slides that was over there. So, certainly it is, maybe a little bit older version of Android, but, we've been working with Android for a couple of years now. It's actually a slide probably towards the end, sorry. But, the thing with Android is, though it's a version or two old, it is the most stable and it is the most used version of Android currently.
Oh, there you go. There's a nice shot of the back.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Shows so VGA in for document sharing as well as the HDMI in. So it's pretty much, I mean, that sets you up for just about anything.
Anything. Yep.
Yeah, and the HDMI outs, I've had no problems with those. I have an SD card plugged into it. What does the SD card get me?
You can like save recordings if you want to record a video conference. You can save it right to there. It's also just kind of expandable space. If you run out of space for downloading apps or whatnot, you can use it there. I mean, those are pretty much the two main uses, is for saving video or call recordings, video conference recordings, and just having more memory.
Yeah, the USB ports are a nice touch. What I have done, the speakerphone device plugs into one of them, occupies them. I used it for a while. We'll come back to that thought later on, though. But what I've used them for principally, and you might actually be able to see that if I punch up another preset over here, I have plugged a keyboard and a mouse into it, because I find entering addresses and stuff like that, I use it more like a desktop, and consequentially, it's pretty cool to actually just be able to use a keyboard to access the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's actually one of the things we tell people, like as a backup for the remote, is you can do exactly what you just said, plug in a USB mouse and run the whole operating system just with that.
Yeah, and in fact, I plugged a hub into it at one point, and so I had the speakerphone hooked up, and I had a mouse, and I had a keyboard, and it was just fine, and I could see people doing that. The one thing that I thought might be interesting, I didn't know if it was possible, but it might be interesting if somebody didn't have a laptop or something available to them, if they could do their document sharing off the SD card, but I accept that might be a bit obtuse. So anyway, let's march through these slides and see if they bring up any questions. Easy. Yes, it's easy.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're going with it. Again, a lot of going after small to medium-sized businesses traditionally who video conferencing has been way out of their price range, been way too complicated for them to set up, way too complicated for them to manage, and this is basically set up to be very easy to manage. You use a lot of different, you see the flexibility slide here, the lots of different ways you can use it. In addition, something we haven't talked about is you could just put it as an extension on a PBX and make it a video conferencing bridge, pretty much as basic as it gets there. But that's actually how we have our in-office network set up. So lots of different options there. Very easy to set up, easy to set up, easy to install, as we talked about. No complicated management. And the other thing with the management side is there's a full web user interface for this guy also, and everything that can be set up using the actual interface. There you go. Everything you can do using the actual interface of the product, you can also do through this web user interface. So, maybe you have a company has a guy remotely that runs their whole system, an IT guy, whatnot. They can do everything here from add contacts to set up a schedule for the video conferencing, which is another cool little feature we have where we have a scheduler built into it, and that scheduler can remind everybody 10 minutes before, send out an email to remind everyone 10 minutes before video conference starts. I'm sure as we go through, a lot of those extra little features will come up, but just multiple ways to manage it. And yeah, as you can see here, also set video presets. Sure. On the video preset side of things, that's we don't, a lot of the really, really expensive systems have the ability to kind of follow you around the room, and what we've done on that is add that video preset section. You can set up to 24 different directions of the microphone, or excuse me, of the camera. Maybe you have people sitting around a conference room and they sit in the same location every single time, or left side of the room, right side of the room, different chairs, whatnot. Have a preset for each one, and just simply switch on over to that. And there you see kind of the quality of the zoom on it. A couple other cool things just off the top of my head is that this is a feature that you have to enable, but we actually offer you the ability to kind of jump in and control the other video cameras and microphones, speaker microphones of the people on your conference. So, if somebody that you're video conferencing with forgets to change the or is talking and forgets to mute themselves, you can go mute them. If they're, forget to change the direction of their camera to face who's ever talking, you can take control of their camera and go move it over to them. Yeah, lots of, as you said in the lead-in, lots of cool little features that I'm sure as we continue to go, we'll talk about.
Yeah, and speaking of which, they might have seen me just doing some stuff, and I was using this, which is the Bluetooth-based remote. I will say it took me a while to fall in love with this. It's a little twitchy. If you're used to IR remotes, there's a little more latency involved in a Bluetooth-based remote. But the thing that I think is kind of hard for people to get without actually experiencing it is, so you see me holding the remote, and it's got a touchpad. It is basically like a laptop. And so if I go over here, or if let's see, we'll go into settings. I ought to be able to grab, you see my little mouse? You kind of get to mouse from the remote, which is the weirdest but kind of coolest thing. and it works quite well. I will say I didn't use it for a while, and they became unpaired, and I had to go back and pair them again, which I thought was a little odd, but that was when I'd been sitting idle for a couple of months. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll admit that's one of the things with the Bluetooth remotes, and that's why we kind of have built a couple of backup options, as you showed, the ability to use a USB mouse instead, or to be able to run download that Android app for the remote on any Android device.
Yeah, so I click on accounts, and you can get into the account stuff. You can go set it all up. So it's pretty slick in terms of what all this works. Hang on, let's not lose our train of thought here. We're over here talking about video features. Yes, PTZ. I think we've explored that a little bit. It's 22 feet from where it sits to the back wall of my office, and And so when I say preset number 5, oops, no, that was not. Now this is the thing. There's a modality to the. Hang on, go back. There's a modality to the remote. It thinks I want to be in a call, and I'm not in a call, so I have to hit camera, which takes you to the camera controls, and you go 5, and it goes to the 5th preset, which is the GVC3200 box over there. And the auto zoom is as good as, or the autofocus on the zoom is as good as anything I've used before. It's not, you know, the only things I've seen that do better are like 20,000 bucks.
Yeah.
So it's not really fair to compete. But then, you know, return back to that, and it remembers the focal length to be right back at that other preset. We're so exciting, the dog's asleep.
Michael, you should explain what we're watching, because we're actually seeing the. What are you connected to there? Because we're seeing the interface, of course, and how are we seeing?
Yeah.
that?
Okay. Well, so what you're seeing right now is you're seeing the output of the GXV. So I'm using the remote, and I'm layering myself in the bottom just so you have some sense of me. And we're actually seeing the output of the Grandstream video conference device. So if I want to go look at applications, these are the applications that are installed currently on this device. I would join the Hangout, but I don't presently have a Google identity logged into it, so I can't really do that at the moment. But when I go to the camera controls here, you have the ability to go to presets. So if I hit there's a red button, you see all the listed presets. Let's go look at the teddies. Now, I should explain why there are teddies here. In my prior career history, I used to go to the National Association of Broadcasters trade show all the time, and it'll come back to that. And they would always have, you know, Canon and Sony and Philips would always have all of their finest video cameras on display, but they would have, you know, some models, and it would usually be some kitchen scene with all kinds of colorful vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. And anyhow, it was something colorful and nice to look at. I don't have any of those. So it was either that or I was going to go get a Thomas the Tank Engine little railroad set and have it moving. But do you remember in the bad old days, life size, whenever you called up somebody to do a life size demo, they would have their marketing people answer the phone or answer the video call, right? And they would always have some little mobile or something hanging in the corner of their office to show that it was high resolution video. But it would be otherwise a dead bland space to not really muss up the compression. Anyhow, there's neither there.
So what there's a thing that many of us do, which is to wear loud checked shirts, which stretch the video compression as a test as well. You'll see the latest talk I did at Google has. I have your shirt is not, it's nearly doing it, but it's like, you know, it's coping.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I might have one on right now.
Yeah, no, it's always a good test of video compression, that one. Sorry to butt in there, but
no, that's great, and that's good. And so what you're seeing at this point here is the output of the device, and we can do some tinkering with it. But before we do that, I'd like to finish going through whatever information we have here. So 1080p, that's good.
From a more,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, just from a more technical side, one of the other cool things we do with video feeds is you see with a lot of third-party ones, if you have people conferencing with various resolutions, people calling in from different locations, a lot of the other systems will actually lower all of the video qualities down to the lowest resolution of all the calls, whereas our device is actually able to kind of transcode and deal with different video resolutions. So, you know, if you have somebody calling in from a video phone and, you know, that might be on a bad Wi-Fi network or whatnot, and somebody calling in from, you know, a conference room, it's not going to degrade the quality of either one of those videos. More on the nerdy side of the video processing, but something unique that we're able to do.
You can call me nerdy. I'm okay with that. Yes, and so the next step, it says content sharing. Now the content sharing is VGA based. I've got a
Mhm.
DVI, or I've got a what is it here? An HDMI to DisplayPort cable hooked up, and if I move offside just a little bit with my laptop, I'm about 6 inches too short for this cable. Well, we'll come to that at the end. We'll actually do it, because I'm going to have to get you to walk me through how that's done, because I've not actually done it.
Oh, okay. It's really
Uh,
easy. We'll show you.
okay, we'll come back. Now this was interesting. It came with an in-focus
Yeah.
speakerphone thing.
So let me,
And
before we go into that.
Okay.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say that we are actually, within the next couple of weeks, coming out with our own speaker or conference speaker microphone. It's actually also going to be Android-based, and that's going to be what's going to begin shipping with the GVC3200. Same price. It'll just be our own unit. Quite frankly, it's a little bit better than the InFocus unit. It's going to run Android, so if you're going to use it standalone from a video conferencing service, which you can also buy it standalone, it'll have the ability to integrate with Skype, Google Hangouts, those kinds of things right from it. It'll be called our GAC 2500, Grandstream Audio Conference 2500.
Well, given that I work for a conferencing provider, we're interested in that.
I figured you would be.
We're always interested in that sort of thing.
You'll see the beta test announcement coming up pretty soon, and if you're interested, I'll make sure to get you involved.
Cool. I mean, the InFocus thing was okay. I mean, it got it done. I think for the kinds of people who'd be using this, it would be all right. I preferred the USB connection to the Bluetooth one, although I did try both. And I tried it Bluetooth paired to a mobile phone, and that was fine too. So it was okay.
Michael, we have a couple of questions that I think you missed, maybe, if I may.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
The first one's from Fred. It's this is an easy yes or no, I guess, if you know this, Phil. It's just does it support ZRTP or ZRTP, and if not, why?
The only thing I can tell you is that I haven't seen that listed on any of the documentation, so I don't think it does. In terms of why, I honestly have to get back to you on that.
Okay. And the next question had to do with the GXV phone series. That's Phone Simon says, I assume this pairs well with the GXV phone series. Is there a special Android app for working with this conferencing system? Excuse me, Michael, if you said that already, but that seems like a pretty good question.
Yeah, no, it just no special app. They just are able to tap right into GVC video conference. So, for example, the way that we do our Monday morning sales meetings is we have our GVC as an extension on a PBX. Everybody calls in, and if you're calling in from a video phone, you'll be able to see the video content on the screen of your video phone.
Okay, and there's another question that's a little bit like ZRTP, which is does it support TLS or TCP to your provider? I'm not sure. Jungle Boogie always has a gift for these questions that just throw me off just this much. Yes. TLS, okay. Does it support TLS? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
TCP or TCP to your provider, I'm not sure what that exactly means.
I believe that it does, yeah.
I think it does because it's capable of running Microsoft's Link client.
Yeah.
Which is all TCP based.
So that question was as opposed to UDP, is that it?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's something that's worth mentioning is that there are a bunch of Android clients you can load to it. Like you load the normal Hangouts client, or you load the Skype client, or the Skype for Business client, and it just runs.
And also, I mentioned when somebody asked about the GXV series, I have a VVX here, Polycom, and Michael and I have communicated on it earlier today, and at some point, wherever it's appropriate, he'll call me and we can show that as well, because that's just a Polycom SIP phone. Yep. It's always nice to be able to talk to other people's stuff, right? So we can do that whenever you're ready.
Yeah, and we did in the beta program. I did some interop with those systems that were available to me, so I know that it interops well with Bria, for example, all manner of Bria. It works well with ZipDX from an audio perspective. It works with Polycom's Real Presence clients and different Polycom endpoints with no issues. So, and I tried both using their SIP registrar service and also OnSIP, because hey, we love OnSIP here, right? So I tend to do lots of things around there. But interop, yes, no H323, and there has been some grumbling about H323, but
Yep,
I can get by without H323. So
yeah, we've been hearing that since before we even came out with it. It's actually within the next, I believe, 2 to 3 months we're going to be able to support H323.
The problem I have with H323 is, it's a NAT traversal nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And consequently, it just introduces a bunch of headaches. But it does give you interop with some legacy stuff. So sometimes
yeah, exactly.
Get excited about that. Anyhow, let's look back here. We're getting to the end of the deck. Gigabit networking was good. Gigabit is great. Do you find people actually using it over Wi-Fi? I'm not inclined.
No,
okay.
we honestly I even tell people if you're using it over Wi-Fi, it would be within the same network and maybe a two-way video, one going each way at the most. We also kind of built that in to allow people to demo it, resellers, whatnot, to demo it, easily. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend using the Wi-Fi for any real video conferencing.
Yeah, the Bluetooth remote we've kind of talked about. We can look at. It's pretty cool. It actually works reasonably well, better than I expected it to. And I have used the installable app, which basically mimics this. Yeah. So it's Android 4.4. There we go.
There you go.
There was a question earlier. Tim is asking, are there APIs to access some of the functions of the device? That is it open to third-party remote control?
I believe on our website we actually have an API guide and a whole API toolkit available, obviously along with Android's SDK. We do it for our Android video phones, and so it would pretty much be the same thing with this, where you have the ability to kind of build your own app or use those SDKs, APIs to kind of customize whatever you want, pretty much.
Okay, that's cool. So we've reached the end of the slides, which is good, because now we can play.
There you go. Let's do it.
And this last slide looks like a Skype call, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we're showing here is, I mentioned earlier that it is able to bridge Android calls into a SIP video conference. And this pretty much just shows you how you would do that. From the in-call menu, you go over to the three dots there, go up to third-party apps. It'll bring up all of the third-party apps that you have downloaded. And if you can make a Skype call to someone to bridge them into the conference right from there, if you have a Skype call or a Hangouts call going on, you can also bridge that in right from there. Currently, we only support bridging of audio, but we're working on supporting bridging of video as well.
Okay, well let's do something basic as starting to play with this. And
cool.
What we found earlier on was that Randy wasn't able to dial me for some reason, but I was able to dial out to him. So I'm going to do that by logging into the web GUI. So you're looking at the web GUI now, and then I can say contacts, where I've got Randy entered as a contact, and I would like to. Contacts. Call? Is that what I want to do with him? Contacts. And how do I actually call him? Do I do that here? No call. That's a call status thing. Oh, here we go. Say Randy, for sake of argument. And it says call failed. I think that is something to do with just kind of the way we have things set up. But I know that I can come over here, put in a SIP URI, and you can put in multiples, and it's a video call, and we call Randy, and you see over here that we are reaching out to Randy via our VUC OnSIP account, which hopefully is ringing in his locale. Do we got anything going on there, Randy? Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's it. I have to stand up and change the mic here and move the camera, but there it is. So you can't see this, but you can see me if I move over to Michael's display. Okay. Not too flattering, but there it is.
So you're seeing the output of that, and you know that's kind of what it looks like on this display. I tried Tim earlier, but I couldn't reach him because of the domain that he was actually hooked up to. But what I did, for sake of argument, was I loaded Bria on my mobile. And let's see, coming back to it. And now we're how to put it? We're registered to the same domain, so I can just extension dial that. And you can see over here that it's coming in with a video call that I can now come back to there, and you're now seeing a three-way.
Wow.
And I could dial out, if you have a SIP URI I could dial out to, I'll load somebody else into this, and we'll try and break it. That's kind of what we do,
This is so crazy because over here I'm seeing similar, several parts of on my phone. It's quite a ways away, though. You can see me pointing to it, obviously, over here. But
yeah, and so for example, if I wanted to bring in an audio call, I might bring in the wideband demo.
Sure.
At conf.zip, and that's sort of an audio only. Let's see what that does. We're not going to hear it, of course. This particular one is audio only, so I am picking this. I've added it to the call that's in progress on the web GUI. We'll dial out to that. And you see it. You can hear it. I've got everything else muted except for my
and you can see that somebody joined the audio call because in the notifications in the top left, there's one for audio, basically.
Yeah. Whoa, I'm going to turn that down because it's confusing me. It is so wacky to see all of this stuff going on my cell phone.
Crazy.
I can't believe that this little Android platform is doing this thing, but it is. Yeah. And then, now while that's going on, if I say camera control, and you can see this local camera control, and let's go to position 5, it's going to do all of that, PTZ stuff that we have, right? Now, you said, does it have far-end camera control? Because the implication is that
yes, it does. It's I'll be honest, I don't know if we have you on the correct firmware. It was something we added through a new firmware version. And I believe it also, you're able to, what you're actually controlling is another GVC. I don't think you'd be able to control somebody's, computer video camera or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it does give you the ability to have the local far end control. It's something that each has to be enabled on each one also, which is another thing. So you can't just surprise somebody and start fooling around with their video camera. But yeah, it's meant to be able to control other GVCs that you might be conferencing with.
Okay, so what I've just done is use this. Does it have good logging? Says Jungle Boogie. You know what? It has good logging on board. I ran out of time getting it to send its logs to my SDC server, or my logging server. Tim Panton is joining in an audio-only fashion, it says. So I've just had Tim join. And if you look at the web GUI, that came up on the web GUI, and I now show Tim Panton audio-only via OnSIP. Mm-hmm. But then we come back to here, and we've now got 2 audio-only participants, you can see, and 2 video participants. But I plugged my laptop in. And what I wanted to do was to get to the presentation. Now, Tim exited. There you go. I'm going to bring up...
I think even Phil is having trouble keeping up with what the hell's going on here. This is really great, Michael.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
I vow to you, we are not worthy. This is so amazing what you've done.
You guys are the best that you set this up. I knew you'd come up with something.
Now, this is the interesting part. I said presentation, okay? But it says switch to substream. Now,
so I think, let me go full screen on my computer. I think one of the other, let me just use the one that is in the conference room that I have here. I think it's on a different option, the ability to share a presentation. So
Okay.
let me just
You're
get into
probably
it.
right. I'm gonna go back to a more nominal view of existence here, and
This is so crazy. I'm looking at this going, what is going on here? That's pretty cool.
there you go. Dog cam.
What you can do. This is what you can do with hardware, folks.
Yeah, and well, hardware and software. There is a bunch of software being deployed as well, but let's figure out how to do this document sharing thing, because I think this would be useful. And quite frankly, when I was working with my friends over at Brand P, document sharing was always the thing that was really hard to do over H.323. It was the thing where the network let you down, always. So, so I'm trying to see in the call conference thingy, OpenDTMF call details. How do I add conference control? Switch to mainstream. The substream thing was how I was doing it on a phone before. If you're on a device that only has one video capability, like a VVX, for example, or the GVC3200, when I had a document being shared on the GXV, rather, or to the GXV, you would do a thing called switch to substream, and you could, even on the phone, you could move between the document and the video stream from the participants, which I thought
think
was
it was the
nice.
to share presentation. I think it was the icon to the left of the one that you were on.
Okay, so let's
It looks
bring
like a
this up
little
here.
TV or something like that.
I have this thing here. That one right there.
Turn on presentation.
Presentation.
There you go.
It says none of these members support presentation. So that suggests that none of you all are worthy. Conference control, what's that do? Okay, so that gives me an on-screen version of what's going on. You, by the way, see you, I mute you. Accepting, I'm not going to mute you. This is the ZipDX connection. Suspend all. I should actually terminate him, but I'm afraid to do that. Go back. And I'm doing this all by the remote control, by the way. Oh, delete member. That's what I want to do. Delete the ZipDX connection. There you go. So that's gone. But then I can add somebody. And what I'd like to add is my desk phone. Oops. That's confusing. He said, hit the little mouse up, come over to here, click. Then 1. That's interesting. Oh, I see.
You'd also be able to just hit that the green phone icon in the lower left, and it should be able to just make a call.
There we go.
On the remote.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. So that should, all other things being equal, it should have. Oh, it's ringing through to my cell phone. Well, that's not appropriate. Anyhow, and I will try it the other way then.
I lost a connection there for a second. With the presentation sharing, the other thing that it's obviously is going to work the best when you're able to have 2 or 3 monitors, so you have one monitor that's going to be able to show the full size of the presentation. That could be why it wasn't working as well.
Exactly, exactly. So here's what I'm going to do. We've got this call all set up and going, but I'll bail on that, and let's just do a little menu exploration. So Randy, good night, Randy.
Bye.
And you see how it comes up? It says end conference or delete member. So we go back to kind of normal.
I've been deleted.
So here is the sort of the basic menu for the thing. You can look at the apps that are installed. There are the camera settings we've been playing with, the schedule, if you had a schedule. Call control, which is as you've had here. And a few things going on. Here again, I'm just using the cordless remote, which if I, oh, you can see that, good. Yeah, it's just wireless remote. Contact list. And you can populate that from a company registry, right? Have we lost Phil? Phil is frozen. Phil's Wi-Fi.
He looks a little cold.
Phil, man, you're walking dead me, buddy. Anyway, you can populate this from, I think it does LDAP, is the way to say it. And then all the different settings, and I've even got Hangouts loaded. Although what I don't have is I'm not signed into a Google profile. Consequentially, I can't actually join.
So I had a question on that, which is it Google Android or is it Android? So can I just get things from the Google Play Store and install them on here? And does it have, you know, random stuff like maps and, you know, other things?
Well, here is the Play Store.
All right.
And
Okay.
It says I must use a Google account.
So it must be a genuine Google. It's not the open source Google. This is genuine Google from Google. I mean Android from Google.
Sorry, my connection keeps cutting out.
It happens on Hangouts. It's common.
I think it was actually our local network.
I'd like to know how to get
anything else.
Ah.
There we go. So I'm just signing in now, as you can see, to Google services. And,
okay. So it's a full Android with all the Google bells and whistles as well. So in theory,
all the googly goodness, yes.
You could install Wire on that and run Wire as one of the sources.
Ah.
Yeah, and so having just signed in there, I ought now to be able to go to Hangouts and actually have it do something meaningful. Oh, it says it wants to update Play services.
Ooh.
Okay. This is where I find having the little mouse is actually
a little bit easier.
Yeah, and how do I get the keyboard away, you say? There is one?
I think it might be the lower... Yeah, I don't know what you just did to get it to go away, but it went away. I think there was a lower right button that would get that to shrink.
Okay. I prefer the keyboard in these regards, but we'll get that done, and then that we started. In the beta, I used Skype a fair bit, and I found the video performance using Skype was not as good as the video performance using anything SIP-based. I found that it really preferred to be doing the SIP-based stuff generally. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and we've actually had our own communications with Microsoft about that. That actually, from our side, is more of a Skype issue than it is an issue with our hardware.
It's kind of understandable because particularly they're not using, well, I don't know what they are. If you're built around H.264, they may be doing something slightly
exactly.
different.
Exactly.
So, but so that now seems to be happy with what it's doing. I hope this is going to be safe. Oh, it says uninstall. Oh, that was weird.
It should be.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment and see what it's doing now. It won't. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was worth. This is what James calls as a dangerous demo, by the way.
I was going to say you should, this whole setup should be put in as a dangerous demo. I think you'd win.
On the other hand, here's the thing: it is fundamentally working, and that's kind of impressive, in fact.
Yeah, but no. I mean, this beats the dog cam. Holo. It's like you can basically do a dog cam with this, as well as everything else.
It would have to be a very well-funded dog, but
but they're worth it.
That's true. We're coming to our hour. A question: you rolled this out in the springtime. How are they doing? Are they flying off the shelves? Where are they going into? Do you have any success stories you can tell us about?
We have a couple of success stories that we, hope to be able to publish pretty soon. I'd say the success that we've had up to this point is we've been able to get it certified with pretty much every major platform provider in the world, your BroadSource, Metaswitch, GenBands, all those kind of guys, which has allowed, we've, started working with some service providers on it. I think it's definitely still coming. In terms of the full potential of it, as I said, our market are traditionally markets that aren't actually using video conferencing. So with a new product like this, it takes a little bit when you first come out with it to kind of educate the market, get people up and running on it. We have some success stories that we'll publish pretty soon. A couple of major Fortune 500 companies that I know off the top of my head that are using it. And then, as I said, we're going to build out video conferencing a lot more as we go. We'll have some more hardware options, probably some more basic options coming out next year, as well as some other services that we're going to offer with it.
Okay, and one last question, and then we'll call for questions from the IRC or from anybody who's listening. Otherwise, logging. Yes, we've talked about that. Is there anything else new that you want to talk about? Like I was thinking, your new little network video recorder is kind of a cool gadget.
Yeah, so last time I was on the show, we were talking all about surveillance. We had our original NVR out at that time. Last week we came out with a more lower capacity NVR. It does up to 16 channels, so it's really it's meant for small businesses, small offices, one shop or one store, retail stores, and residential use. Pretty much has all the same great features and the same user interface. It does. It just offers it with a little bit lower capacity to offer two different options. This one supports 2 hard drives, where the other one supports 4. This one will do up to 8 terabytes of data. One new thing that we've added with this new NVR is that you can now access the hard drives directly from a little hard drive tray that just pulls out. Whereas with our previous one, you actually have to open up the device to access the hard drives. So a little bit easier to manage, a little bit easier to access with this. So that's pretty much the big new thing over here. And then the next big new thing will be that GVC3200 audio conference phone that we're going to come out with within the next couple of months.
Cool. Yeah, I could see the smaller NVR I thought was quite interesting, so much so that I've suggested it to a couple of installers who are working in our neighborhood here, because it seems like for sort of, I won't say the higher end, but for residential installations as well, it seems like it's kind of ideal because it's small and it doesn't need massive storage capacity. So hey,
no, not at all, and it's very easy.
There we go. It's logging into Hangouts, which is not looking. Oh, there we go. And so we should actually have an in-progress call if I could figure out how to access it.
Isn't that green thing up on the top?
Yeah, it's on the top.
Is that it right there?
Can you click on that thing? Yeah.
I thought that was just me.
No,
or is it this?
Or
is it this thing up here? Is it this thing here?
I think that's your. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
In all fairness, the notifications, the whole system of getting into Hangouts is pretty screwed up, so it probably doesn't have anything to do with what we're trying to do here. I mean, I invite myself, and I never get the invites, so it's not really great.
Yeah, and doing this in this manner is also kind of strange. I do see what I see is over here. See the little icon up in the top? That somewhat indicates either that I'm logged in or that there's something going on, but it's not real clear to me what that means.
Or you probably need a separate identity to do this, to do the experiment properly.
I guess so.
But I'm telling you right now, I'm logged in as our page, and if I invite myself, and all the connections are made and everything, but and I'm following the page and all that. But if I invite myself, my name, I never get the invite. So there's something basically pretty screwed up with the whole system, and it has nothing to do with the hardware.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Pretty amazing stuff, though, I got to admit.
There's an ongoing call that I'm about to join.
Oh, okay. Well, if you can join it, more power to you.
Yeah.
Oh! No, that's
went too far away. Frequent contacts.
No, never mind.
No, there was one though, because I just saw it. This is contacts. This is calls. You were in a video call. You were in a video call. You were in a video call. That's going back in time. 9/24. Well, it's 2004, so that's a long time ago. An ongoing call. So this is it right here. So I ought to be able to do this thing.
Oh, look, I have one. Well, you can't quite see. What if I go in? Oh my, here we are. Oops. Yeah, I'm getting myself.
I get a video call.
How do you
from
answer this? Totally lost.
There you go.
Oops. There he is. Michael Raves joined the call. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. I have no idea what we're doing here, but I somehow got into the call. All right, I'm going to leave. Because
this is 16 kinds of freaky.
Yeah, we're too crazy.
The list price is an attractive price for what it can do. I think that actually the street price is, of course, a little bit below that. I'd be interested to see how you do with that. And feel free to come back and tell us about how the ground is shaken as a consequence. So.
Hey, I'd love to. We should set that up.
I just want to remind people that Grandstream is a name that I have seen since, 2005 or something, whatever the first year is that I ever got into VoIP or anything to do with telephony and SIP. And I bought the 101, and I'm sure millions of us have bought that, have those someplace. I don't know where mine is, by the way. I wonder if it's in the closet someplace. But anyway, that was an amazing part of history. And all kidding aside, this is a name that's been around for a long, long time, and they've done a lot of interesting stuff. So thanks, Phil. Really appreciate seeing you again. And Michael, great idea to bring Phil in.
Yeah, thank you for this. It's fun. It's good to play with hardware toys, because software toys are not.
Yeah, not so much.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, thank you, Phil. Cheers.
Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.
All right, we're going to go to our mature audiences only version, and we'll see you again soon, Phil. I hope. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, guys.
You too. All right, mature audiences. Here we go. Everybody ready? Ooh, here I go. I'm going to meditate. Yeah, right now.